I do have a PowerPoint whenever that is ready, but I just want to thank each one of you for being here and taking your time out of your precious work schedule and hours to be here to talk about something that is a global issue. It's not just in your country or in my country, it's around the world, and we are all facing it. And I'd like to thank the committee for actually willing to talk about this, spend hours, money, resources to actually combat something which is a reality. So we have been hearing stories, we have been hearing a lot more than what we came in to know. But 4 years ago, before I started working for International Justice Mission in Calcutta, I lived in Calcutta, India, not knowing that prostitution and trafficking was a reality. It was happening in my next door, but I was not aware of it. I was oblivious. I was just engrossed in who I was and what my reality was. I did not care about who was there behind me. And 4 years ago, when I joined International Justice Mission, that's when I realized that it is a reality that is striking the entire humanity, the entire globe. So what is human trafficking really? It is an act, it is a means, and it has a purpose. It is an act of recruiting, buying, or selling of women, children, and even boys and men. And it is used to sell their bodies for sex, for organ transplant, and many other forms of slavery. And that is called sex trafficking. It is usually for the purpose of somebody else's profit. So out of 35.8 million slaves, as per UN index numbers and Global Slavery Index, there are about 35.8 million slaves in the world, out of which about 14.3 million slaves, which is about 40%, are held in India, where I come from. Slavery is not just an India issue. It is a global problem. However, there is 20 to 40% of the world's slaves just living in India. Many of those are affected by sex trafficking itself. There are 16 million trafficked victims in India, out of which 6 million are children. We have been sitting here for the last 4 hours approximately. In the last 4 hours, there were about 14 girls below the age of 18 who were trafficked into India from international borders. Human trafficking is known to be the second largest non-taxable illicit business in the world. Why is it so profitable? It is not just dealing with unorganized small crime. It is highly profitable. It is an organized business. There is a high demand and very little risk of punishment. UN says there are about 4 billion people who live outside the protection of law. Why are they outside the protection of law? In India, the country that I come from, the rich and elite can afford to actually buy people who will protect them, who are private detective, private security agents, unlike the police force. So the number of private security agents are much greater, if not double, than the police force or the law enforcement in the country. If you look at that graph, it's a source from Siddharth Kara. He basically puts down the numbers. The INR is Indian currency, and then a dollar value. If one girl is sold for sex, the average purchase price for every victim is $608. The average price per sex act is about $4. Average number of sex acts per day is about 11. Average annual cost for maintaining a victim is roughly about $4,000 US. And annual revenue per victim is about $15,000 US. And profit per victim per year is about $11,000 US. So therefore, selling one girl gets about 71% profit from her life for one person, girl. I do not share these statistics to leave you hopeless and thinking, what are we doing here? But I actually want to leave you with a sense of hopefulness. We, as IJM, International Justice Mission, have placed ourselves in area of need where it is great, but where change is also made. Our core value is to protect the poor from violence by partnering with local authorities. We rescue victims by assisting in police and operations. I myself have been on over 150 rescue operations, rescuing over 100 girls from brothels and red light areas within the country and even sometimes outside the borders of our country. We restore survivors through aftercare services. In the last few years, we've restored over 1,000 young women back to their society, back to their homes, and restoring them with life and dignity. We work alongside the judges, the public prosecutors, and we hold criminals accountable for the crime they have committed against these young girls. Our lawyers travel anywhere between 20 minutes to about 7 hours every day to fight against every bail application that is made in the court against the perpetrators. We work with the justice system, the police, the judiciary, the government officials, to help build a system that will protect the poor from violence. Some of the different kinds of crime that we've encountered throughout our world offices through International Justice Mission is sex trafficking, sexual violence, police brutality, land grabbing, citizen right abuse. The central part of our mission is to work with the public justice system, which is already in place. We usually want to see when injustice goes in, that justice should come out of the pipeline. But what we often see is that injustice goes in and injustice comes out because of corruption, under-resourcedness, ill-trained people, and underworked people, or overworked, pardon me. To put this in perspective, the public justice system in India is taxed. And police officer probably has to handle over 100 cases a day. A public prosecutor has probably 300 cases every day to fight in the court of law. A normal average court case in India takes about 10 to 15 years to complete. Therefore, justice is late. And when justice is late, it is most of the time denied. Some of the outcomes since 2006, since we started working in Calcutta, which has one of the largest red light areas in all of Asia, we've been able to rescue over 300 victims. We've arrested over 400 criminals, convicted 38 criminals, restored 36 survivors back to their homes, and repatriated 46 clients back to Bangladesh and Nepal, which are bordering countries with India. Overall, IGEM India in the last few years have been able to rescue 10,000 survivors from human trafficking, arrest over 800 criminals, convicted over 160 criminals, restored over 1,000 survivors, and we've trained 15,000 government officials. We believe that God's miracle has been working throughout India, and not just in India, but throughout the world. And we believe that the only way we can do that is to work with the public justice system that is already existent in the countries. We've realized for the world that we are just one person, but for one person who's the victim, we can be the entire world. Because as for the Bible, Isaiah 1:17 says, learn to do the right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow. In the last few months, I have gone on a rescue operation where I was called about 1 o'clock in the morning saying a 14-year-old girl was trafficked by her own brother. So we tried to find her everywhere. We were unable to find her. It didn't take us too long to get back to the law enforcement and the local law agencies over there. And within about 4 hours, we were able to trace her in one of the biggest red light areas. We realized if God was not working through us, through the country for these victims, we would not be able to rescue them. I have Sister Sally with me over here, and she can stand testimony as to a rescue of a 13-year-old girl. In one of the districts of West Bengal, we received this call through Sister Sally saying this 14-year-old girl was trafficked by an unknown individual. He was just calling her on the phone, constantly calling her, talking to her, trying to say that he loved her. He was going to kill himself if she did not come to him. So this girl, out of fear, out of anxiety, went in to meet this guy on this morning. When the police were notified about it, the police said the girl chose to go. The police said the girl wanted to go. She was in love, therefore she ran away. But we all knew that this girl went out of fear. So we tried to work with the local law enforcement. We tried to get in touch with the numbers. We were able to trace the numbers. It was about 3 days later when we finally went into the area, and on questioning the people in the village, questioning the other perpetrators and the families, we found out that the girl might be possibly sold out of the state that we were in. So we tried talking to her. We got a phone number. I called her up. When I was speaking to her, it was a completely different person who was talking to me. She abused me on the phone. She cursed me on the phone, saying that she did not care and that I was only irritating her. Mind you, she was only 13 years old, and consent doesn't matter if you are trafficked. So finally, with the help of local law enforcement and just the desire for them to do it, and by providing resources to them, we were able to rescue this girl within 14 days from her being trafficked. We were able to go beyond the states. We were working tirelessly through 80 hours to try to rescue this girl. And when we finally rescued her, she told me, "Why did you not tell me on the phone that you wanted to rescue me?" Because I needed to come out of there, and no one was there to help me. So are you and I willing to stand up for that victim who wants to be rescued, who wants to come out? And are we willing to be there for them? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.